questions.
Okay, right. Well, let's get underway here. Now, um, I think this is a really significant development, and it's a really significant product. eSpring has the potential to not only change all of our businesses for the better, but also the well-being of the general public for the better as well. And it's incredible that right now on TV here in the UK, the BBC is showing a program about contaminated foods and water, contaminated with particularly forever chemicals. And if you want to watch that program, you can get it on iPlayer at any time. It's a panorama program, so it's airing at 8 o'clock on BBC One right now. And it's pure coincidence that we scheduled this meeting. And it comes about because the new eSpring is such an important product, as I've just said, for everybody. So, why is it so important? Well, you've probably noticed that in recent weeks and months, there's been more and more exposure of how poorly served we are in the UK and other countries, I might say, in terms of the supply of fresh drinking water. Um, there are big problems also associated with the other end as well, with sewage, but it is equally important that we understand that the water companies are under significant pressure. Where I live here in East Sussex, right now, we have a water contamination issue. Anybody living in Tunbridge Wells area, they're cut off from water simply because the water treatment process there has failed and the quality of the water was so bad they had to shut off supply. It's that bad. So everybody, most people, it is out there are thinking in terms of their health and their safety, and what can they do about it? Well, the answer is we have the product, and the product is eSpring, and all of you could be out there making a pitch, a sales pitch, dare I say, and I'm not ashamed to say, a sales pitch to move this product into the marketplace because it has so many positive features and benefits that we mustn't hide our success and the quality under a bushel. We need to be out there promoting it. Now, the essential thing about any sales program is that you talk about features and what the associated benefits are. So we have so many features about this product, it's difficult to know where to begin. But can I start by saying that eSpring is not a water filter? It is more than that. It's much more than that. It's a water treatment system because not only does it enable the filtration of particulate matter like microplastics and other debris out of the water, but also it can treat that water in two principal different ways. One of the ways is, of course, it provides UV irradiation, which will kill off 99.9% of bacteria, viruses, and many parasites as well, including cryptosporidium. Just to remind you, in case you didn't hear about it, but in Somerset earlier this year, there was a contamination of the water supply in an area where cryptosporidium got introduced accidentally into the water system because of contamination from cow pastures, and the people didn't know about it until the whole village that was contaminated were sick. And that is precisely why eSpring has that particular feature. So the feature of the product is we have ultraviolet irradiation sterilization, and the benefit is it protects you from bacterial, viral, and parasite contamination. But the most important feature, and in fact the patented feature and the unique feature about eSpring, is the compressed carbon block core to it, which is much more than a filter. Because activated charcoal, which is what this block is composed of, also performs a function known in physical chemistry as adsorption, adsorption. It's where large organic molecules can actually be attached to the carbon, and it acts like a filter, but it's not a filter, which is one that just simply is composed of a hole through which things cannot pass, if that makes sense. So the feature is that we provide through the carbon block filter the ability to be able to remove large organic molecules. And the benefit of that is, of course, it removes up to 170 potential contaminants. And you can get a list of these on the website. So in case you're not aware, on the existing UK business website, under business info and library, if you go to the eSpring part of the library, you will find the contaminants list. In 2 weeks' time, we have a brand new website in the UK, and then you will need to go to resources and downloads. Okay, and personally, I think it's really important to have this document because it lists all of the contaminants that have been tested independently and certificated as to be removed by eSpring. And these are very, very significant. And they include forever chemicals. And they include forever chemicals to a quite amazing extent. Over 99% of these are removed from the water. That is really significant for people. I think we're going to hear more about that from Colin and from Imhotep shortly. But the point is that the water treatment system covers both organic organisms being removed and killed off. It includes organic chemicals which are adsorbed on the carbon block filter. And of course, that carbon block filter has the ability to be able to remove heavy metals and molecules such as chlorine. So we end up with a water that is not only cleansed, but tastes good and still contains the essential minerals that we need. Most people don't realize, but the essential minerals of calcium, magnesium, and other salts, most of us get our main supply from our drinking water. And yet, do you know, in the UK, our biggest competition when it comes to water treatment in domestic situations is devices that use reverse osmosis. And reverse osmosis, whilst it removes a lot of these chemicals, also removes the minerals from the water. And I'll talk about competition a bit later, but believe me, water purified by reverse osmosis tastes disgusting because it's not got any minerals in it. It's not got anything in it at all. It is totally horrible. Worse still, reverse osmosis requires a great deal of energy to be able to produce the end product. And bizarrely, and in my opinion, fraudulently, most of these other products then require you to add back in to the water that you have purified the minerals that you've taken out of it. So we have just so many things going for us. We've really got to get out there and promote the product and get people to understand what the value is. And boy, we have great value for money, as Imhotep is going to tell you fairly shortly. Finally, can I point out that a lot of people will say, well, we don't drink tap water, we buy bottled water. What a mistake that is. Bottled water, 99% of all bottled waters tested recently by the European Union contained forever chemicals. They are not pure water. Worse still, they come in plastic bottles. These plastic bottles contaminate the environment. Even worse, they cost a great deal of money. We have a much better proposition for these people. So I want you to get to grips with the detail of this, understand that features have to be converted into what does that mean for me? What are the benefits of that feature? And to understand that we have our hands on a product which will help us grow our businesses and help the general population. If Imhotep is ready, can I ask him to take over here and talk about value?
Yes, thank you very much, Trevor. And it's an absolute pleasure to be speaking here today on this meeting. And today I'm talking about value. So I'm going to just quickly share my screen and begin to present. So you should be seeing my screen any moment now.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Okay. And yes, regarding the eSpring, I'm talking about the price versus value because usually the second question that you get asked is how much does it cost in any conversation? So let's jump right into that answer. In terms of water in the supermarket, the supermarket brand. So if you go to the supermarket, they usually have their own brand of water and certain other products. That brand, the price per liter is about 45 pence. And this is the average price over all supermarkets. So it will be a bit more, it will be a bit less in different supermarkets. And the premium brand, meaning the non-supermarket brand, you're looking at an average 90 pence per liter of water. And again, this is average, so it can go up as high as £1 20, and we wouldn't even talk about water in the airport. So this is the average price of bottled water that people usually buy. So how much does the eSpring cost? Looking at the eSpring, we have the ABO price, which is the gross. This is what we pay is £1,003, and we have the registered customer price, which is £1,285, £203 and 85 pence. And then you look at the filter, because after the first year, you'll have to replace your filter. And the filter, you can see the ABO price, £196, the customer price, £235. So let's do some quick maths to see the first year price. The first year, you buy your eSpring, so you have 5,000 liters of water that you get for this eSpring. So I just divided it by 5,000 liter. So to see that as an ABO, you're paying 20 pence per liter of water. So if we remember the water bottle price, we already see that it's already cheaper than any water that you can get in the supermarket. And customer is similar. They're only paying 4 pence more than us, so they're paying 24 pence per liter. This is about half the price of the supermarket brand of bottled water. And this is very significant because we are saying that we have eSpring, which is so much better than the water that we can get from bottled water, as Trevor was just describing, and it's so much cheaper. And that's just the first year. From then on, you have your eSpring, and now you are only changing the filter. So I called it the happily ever after price because now you're living happily ever after, and you have your eSpring for however long you want to keep drinking water. So with the prices, we are looking at 3 pence per liter for an ABO and 4 pence per liter for a customer. So your water is now about 10 times to 15 times cheaper than bottled water. So when we consider value versus price, you see that it's much more valuable to have an eSpring in your home and get water directly from the tap. And then we look at the long-term savings and impact to the environment. Because let's be honest, yes, price is one thing, but not everyone really cares only about price. People actually care about taking care of the planet and taking care of the home for the next generation. So when we look at long-term savings for the environment, firstly, the plastic waste reduction. 5,000 liters is about, that will be 10,500 milliliter water bottles that you are going to save from being polluted in the planet because now you're not using any plastic bottles. So that's one thing you're saving. And then you have a much lower carbon footprint because not only that we have plastic bottles for bottled water, but you have to think about the production process, the transportation process, all of that adds to the carbon footprint for bottled water and the bottled water industry. So by having an eSpring in your home, you're making a huge impact on improving and taking care of the planet. And then your financial savings over time, you're going to start saving so much, as I said, about 10 to 20 times cheaper than bottled water. So now your water is cheaper, you're saving the planet, and you're drinking healthy, clean water with all your minerals and no forever chemicals and no microplastics. So it's a win-win all around. So this is what I will consider as really great value. And it's really important to tell this and share this with your customer, the value that they are getting. And with that, I will say thank you. And this is the completion of my presentation.
Thanks, Emma. Absolutely, stunning. And whilst that comparison looked at that between um, eSpring water and bottled water, remember that we're talking about also water that would be used at home for like cooking vegetables, for example. Do you really want to cook your vegetables in contaminated water? Of course you don't. So, we're building that into the added advantage that those people who think, well, I'd only consume bottled water, well, now they have an opportunity to not only improve on what they consider to be the best water, but also to cook with it as well. Colin, are you ready to talk to us, please? I'm not quite sure what your subject title is, but away you go.
Yeah, I'm up. Good evening, all. Thank you guys for asking me to share this. And I have to say up front, the information that Trevor and Emotet have provided really is invaluable. And some people may feel fazed by having that body of knowledge, that they have. Can they communicate that effectively to their customers? And what I want to share with you is don't be alarmed because Amway, in its wisdom, has provided a great set of reference points and materials to make it easy for us to communicate the usage, benefits, and values of the eSpring. Um, this slide just shows the original a version of the eSpring that we're migrating to. towards the new eSpring, which was launched not so long ago. And I want people to recognize that what Amway have done is to actually add more value into what's on the left-hand side. So it's not that you throw away your the eSpring as it is, but we've got an enhancement on where we go. And when I refer to the information that is provided, Amway takes you through how you can communicate easily the value of its product offering. And I bring this slide up to say, no, you do not need to be the expert. What you need to be is enthusiastic and believe in the product that you're offering. But then you're able to share with the potential customer, here are some of the things that you can be at peace with, knowing that all your water needs for cooking or drinking would be of a better standard if you had an eSpring machine. And today, yes, there's a lot of issues about the microplastics, pharmaceuticals, and bacteria. And Trevor has spoken at length about that. But one of the things I wanted to highlight, and a lot of reference I'm going to talk to, is information that Amway has got on its as references. And Amway stands behind its products, and as such has given you the reference sources that should your customer or anybody wants to do any further deep diving, they can do so. So if you look at the bottom of this slide, you see it's got the reference 1 and 2, and those are referencing some papers. Now, astonishingly, to support or probably to enhance what Trevor said, there is the statement that drinking water is one of the main sources of the forever chemical exposures for people. I repeat that. Drinking water is one of the main sources of the forever chemical exposures for people. So we really need to see how we can migrate through to get somebody to say, hey, look, this is real. Now, why would I want to invest in an eSpring? Having seen the Epithet's presentation. Now, what I do, and I've done a number of things, and I will share with this freely. I know not everybody would want to take the kind of approach that I take with approaching, eSpring, because for me, it's such an invaluable product. I look at some of the customer experiences there. I look at it from the customer's point of view. Once I could share all these benefits, some customers, and there's one in particular, very, very health conscious, and they were making over their kitchen, but very health conscious. And it was a case of understanding how can this new piece of kit fit into their new kitchen. Now, I really worked with them and their kitchen fitter, because it was a marble top and everything else, to see how best to incorporate the auxiliary and again auxiliary fitting within this whole marble top, etc. for the war. Because I spent a lot of time looking at it from the customer's eyes, I was able to conclude that sale. But more importantly, one of her friends who was there saw how I handled her and eventually came to me and said, can I have an eSpring too? So when you're looking at, okay, you've got a mass of information that you can share the benefits of an eSpring. At times, we need to step back and see, how do we close the deal, make the customer as satisfied as it is? Because, yeah, everybody will hear about the microplastics, the pharmaceuticals. They will see, you could show them, hey, look, this is how an eSpring, the new version eSpring is broken down. We do have what you call the mini model that you can have, and that mini model it has worked well for me in being able to bring to life what the eSpring is about. But at the end of the day, we can try to share all of that, but you really do need to focus on how can you see this from the customer's eyes to deliver the sale. And that's a key thing. Now, what I've seen and love about this new eSpring, which has overcome a huge challenge going forward, is the ease at which we can fit the auxiliary system. Because before, it used to be a point where you can have leaks, etc. And we had moved up towards a different connecting system to minimize those challenges that we had with the old system. But today, this new eSpring is the auxiliary connection is plug and play, is click, it's push fit. I tell you, it's a major step forward in being able to do that. Right? Now, you got the different standards. You see that the Amway has been able to satisfy from standard 42 all the way through to 401. And those are important to help people to understand the value of eSpring. But here's what I did over and above that. And again, I share this with you to see, whilst it is, Trevor referenced the leaflet, which is on the Amway site, and all the contaminants that are removed and tested, and there it is in black and white. And in one particular case, what I did, I took samples of eSpring water, and I took samples of bottled water, and I had them tested in a lab, and I showed the results, and I closed the sale. At times, I'm saying this is not for everybody to do. All right. And there are times where you want to reach eSpring into places that it isn't. You can actually really go down to that level. Now, an easy do that anybody can do here in the UK is access the water quality reports for your water provider. And those reports would highlight some of the compromises they've had, such as Trevor's highlighted some issues that you had down in Tunbridge Wells. That incident would be reported in the annual water quality report. So what we can say to folks is, look, here is what actually comes through your tap from time to time. Here are the reports when there isn't an incident, but they're highlighting issues. Now, wouldn't you like the peace of mind to know that you're taking out all these things that could be getting through the stream and microplastics and reducing the PFAS? So there's ways in how you approach it, because at the end of the day, the eSpring is second to none. There's no organization that has got any piece of kit that will do what eSpring does for the miniature size that it is, but the power, the punch that it packs. And one of the things that is gaining in momentum that we need to be aware of, and this is again from one of the references that Amway has got on the site, and it is the pharmaceutical pollution of world's rivers. And a statement, therefore, pharmaceutical pollution poses a global threat to environmental and human health, as well as to the delivery of the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals. So if you want to be helpful, like Epictetus said, you'd want to get an eSpring. But those statements say why it is important that we should remove microplastics from our food or ingestion stream. We know that aging water infrastructure will cause problems. Don't know if that was a reason why what happened in Tunbridge Wells, but that's their risk. I do recall a couple of years ago there was a big incident up in the north of England, and the only way they could provide good quality water was to use a UV treatment system to provide water to the domestic supply. So Trevor mentioned about the reduction of the 19 categories of pharmaceuticals, and Imhotep talked about the reduction of waste plastic. So when you look overall, this nice, lovely, aesthetically pleasing piece of kit, right, does all this, and you could show that to your customer, but at the same time, seeking from their perspective what it is they're looking for and how you can help. One of the things that in closing, I said real feedback that I've had. One, when people have had the eSpring, wow, this my teas and coffee taste different. Not because as Trevor said, you're taking out all the stuff that actually impacts the natural flavors that come through. Okay. I had folks who wanted to protect their young family, and having understood the old benefits, they said, hey, yeah, this is the right choice. And they would, like clockwork, you get repeat business because they call again and again and again. So, guys, eSpring, nothing but the best. Thank you.
Thanks, Colin. As always, brilliant. Yeah. Um, Folks, we have our hands here on a product which is, don't misunderstand me, this is a salesman's dream. It really is, because we have so many advanced features which come with so many incredible benefits that really it should be a slam dunk when it comes to selling this product. You know, there are so many things we haven't even touched on yet this evening, not least the fact that Amway have provided us with a mass of material online in terms of videos and demonstrations and brochures and everything you could ever wish for to support you. The product, of course, comes fully guaranteed. The product is certified. It is patented. We have a unique product that does a fantastic job. And as Imhotep, you know, just explained there so brilliantly, what great value for money it is. So what's going to happen when you get out there and you start talking to customers? Well, shall I tell you what? The first thing you'll get is an objection. And people will say to you, oh, it's too expensive. Well, do you know how to handle objections? Let's deal with that. There are two things that you can do. First, you can say, well, I agree with you. It does appear to be expensive, but it's value for money. And then you outweigh the objection with the benefits. And for example, you use a price calculation or comparison, such as Imhotep just showed you. You can work out your own to suit your own circumstances, whatever. But any objection that you receive, never never object to the objection. Say, I agree with you, but let me just highlight why I think that this is good value for money. And you know, if you're still getting objections, the thing I always like to use is what's called the suppose test, where if somebody says to you, oh, it's too expensive, and you say to them, well, let's suppose it was half of that price. Would you buy it then? Because you see, if they then agree with you that they would, now you know that it is a genuine price objection. And therefore, anything that you can do to outweigh that objection with additional benefits, like the price comparisons, the cost of the value for money, then that's the way that you can close a sale. So welcome objections because they will lead you to answer the customer's potential hang-ups. Okay. And like, for example, Colin actually made a very good point just now. He said he was actually there helping somebody install one. And sometimes people will say, well, yeah, I can't do that because I can't drill a hole in my granite worktop. Well, you don't have to. There are ways around that, not least because there is an adapter that Amway sells. Also, there is even a video on the in
Mhm.
Amway library which shows you how it can be plumbed directly into any cold water tap in your kitchen anyway.
Yep.
So there are always ways around it. Um, I can't emphasize enough that we have our hands here on a product that solves a problem. And whenever, in this world, there is a need, then if you can fill that need, then you have the ability to build your business. And here we have, just a great example of that. So I'm going to issue you with a challenge. Okay. I'm going to challenge you to become a member of the eSpring Club. And the eSpring Club will have its first meeting at the weekend seminar in February in Milton Keynes, when we will have a few bottles of fizz reception for those people who have sold 2 of the new eSprings by then. Just 2. Do you think you can do that? I know a lot of you can. So that's the challenge. Now, looking at the time, we're doing pretty well here. So anybody got any questions?
If you go to the React button, you should be able to raise your hand there if you have a question, and then I will try and find you and we can unmute from there. So if you have a question, please just click on the React button at the bottom of your screen. Great. Thanks, Nancy. So go ahead and unmute, Nancy, and feel free to answer your question or ask your question even.
Hiya. Yes,
Hi,
so
Nancy.
I was actually trying to talk about the eSpring today to family. And one of the questions I was asked was in terms of how it's connected. Is it a separate system? Do we have to connect it to the tap? Just wanted an explanation as to how we get this to work.
Colin,
Just
would you like to deal
explain
with
how
that
it
one?
works.
You're the expert. No, you're muted, Colin.
Yeah, sorry about that. Nancy, what I would say, great that they have expressed an interest in getting it. Now, do look at their setup. If they would prefer to have it as a counter-mounted with a using the existing tap, and Amway's made that easier, or if they wanted it having a separate tap, which is the auxiliary tap. Now, I have people who live in high rises, etc., who have actually gone with the counter mounting with the existing tap fitting because it's easy. It's an easy connection, but either one would work. If it's their home, I would say it's probably better to have it as with the auxiliary and just connect it underneath. That will supply them. Hello, yeah, and that will going
Sorry,
forward.
Shirley, can you just mute, please? Sorry, I missed it. Find it in a minute. Sorry, go ahead, Colin.
Yeah, I was saying if it's their own home, I find that people much prefer to have the auxiliary system.
Okay.
Colin, what about actually connecting to the main supply?
All right, now Amway've simplified this a lot. You remember the system that I brought over from Spain? That's what Amway now using, which is brilliant, Trevor. So it's just easy to have a T piece. So you have an isolator. You need a plumber of some sort, somebody who can cut into the existing water pipe. You put a T-piece to come out to fulfill the eSpring requirements, and then it's a plug and play situation.
Thank you,
Thanks, Colin.
Colin.
Great question, Nancy, and I think you've got a great answer. And it's comes down to the person's preference, doesn't it? And what works in their kitchen or wherever they're installing it. So fantastic question. Thank you. Okay, so Michael or Yenti, you were next up. So please unmute and ask your question.
This is for Trevor. Hi, Kate. What minerals does the osmosis take out from the water?
Good question, Michael. It takes out all of them.
Ooh.
And what you would need, what do you want to keep in your water, Dad? So you want to keep obviously calcium,
Magnesium. But there
and
must be
others as
more.
well. And that's what's so fraudulent about, in my opinion, about the reverse osmosis products, because reverse osmosis removes everything. You basically end up with distilled water,
Correct.
which tastes horrible and has no minerals in it. So a lot of these products then require you to add back in their own mineral concentrate, which they have designed and which doesn't necessarily fulfill the mineral requirements of your good self or in your locality. So reverse osmosis is a seriously flawed system. And that, believe me, from what I've seen, is the leading domestic product in the UK at this moment in time. That's why we're going to change it, because it's wrong. What we need is one based on carbon block technology, such as eSpring.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, Yenti?
Trevor, if the water for reverse osmosis is so horrible, surely you can't fool any customer, because with the old eSpring, I remember when we compare the taste of the old eSpring as to the tap water, you can taste the difference. So if the reverse osmosis water quality is so poor, surely you can't fool any customer. So why do they go along with the reverse osmosis system?
Because Yenti, they have been sold on only half of the story. They've been sold on the half of the story which says reverse osmosis will remove the pharmaceutical contaminants from the water. What they don't tell you is it removes everything else as well.
Trevor, if I could just come in, please.
Yeah, go on, Colin.
All right. I think people just got to understand RO plants were specifically designed for the food industry. Say, for example, and the reason for that is you scrub everything out of the water. So like if you're making ketchup, we don't want anything else to taint ketchup. And hence we put in RO plants, a reverse osmosis plants, to scrub it, because we just needed the distilled water to make the ketchup. Because in water, you can find that under certain conditions, you can develop all flavors with your products. And we suffered from that. And that's where we recognized we needed to scrub it, as you say, Trevor, make it distilled water. So it doesn't react with anything. And from there, the cell was put it into, started to getting into domestic situations. But Yenti, if you were to get distilled water and taste it and get RO water, you'll see it's the same, or you probably would never want to drink it again.
Yeah, it's a fact.
Fantastic. Thanks, Michael and Yenti. It was great questions. Nick, Nick, please unmute and ask your question.
Uh, Hello, everyone. Uh, just hello. So it's Nick and Sarah. Just wondering if we know who the main competitor is for eSpring, and if we have any answers to common, questions about sort of why eSpring isn't like maybe brand X or a competitor.
Nick, I don't know the answer to your question because I don't know any of the brands, but all I can tell you is that according to a Google search, the most common domestic water treatment system in the UK is a reverse osmosis system. That's all I can tell you. There's a brilliant test that you can do with reverse osmosis water. Make a cup of tea with it and compare it with a cup of tea made with eSpring. You will know the difference.
Yeah.
Mind you, that of course assumes that you're English.
Trevor, if I could add, I think most people would compare eSpring to bottled water as an alternative,
Yeah.
and Imitet's presentation captures where the bigger pushback would come because people would say, well, oh, I trust and believe in bottled water as opposed to anything else. So I would say, Nick, bring the question around to bottled water and say, okay, let's see if we were to take bottled water as a standard. And like I said, I have evaluated bottled waters, not in this country, in other countries where I wanted to do some stuff. And I can tell you the bottled waters failed. The top brands failed. Okay. So that's where you've got to get your head around. And Imitet's presentation really highlights the value that eSpring brings given the commensurate quality of the water that it delivers.
Yeah, which reminds me, Colin, that of course it's very important for you to say to people that with an eSpring, you take your water out and about with you. Do not take it out and about with you in a plastic bottle. You take it out and about with you in a glass bottle or a stainless steel chili bottle, something like that. Never a plastic bottle.
And Nick, great question. And I will just share a couple of seconds about something that we saw at LTS on the Amway stands. And we do, thanks to Michael McCoy, who recorded it, we will share the video of this. But they were doing a demonstration, comparing the new eSpring carbon block filter with the two other leading brands of carbon block filters. They wouldn't share which brands they were because Amway don't do that. But what was really interesting was she was talking about a couple of things because the carbon block filter is made from coconut shells. And of course, this again is another story from the sustainability of Amway that coconut shells are a food waste, and so they just get thrown away. They use the inside, they use the coconut water and the inside of the coconut, but they throw the shells away. And so Amway saw the of taking that coconut shell to then burn it down to a charcoal. And then what they do, and this is one of the unique points of eSpring versus other brands, is they compress that charcoal. So they compress the charcoal. No other brand of carbon block filter, according to the Amway staff at the expert LTS, compress the charcoal. So that totally makes it totally different. Our carbon block filter looks black. It just looks like charcoal. And in these other two brands that she showed us, you could see different colors. You could see some yellow, you could see some brown, some other colors in there. So the question is, what are they burning? What ingredient are they burning to create the carbon block filter? So just a couple of points that I picked up from watching this and seeing how then the other brands, when she dripped water over it, the water just ran off, and actually almost 50% of the water did not make it through the filter. And so therefore, are you drinking truly filtered water from those brands, or is 50% of it not being filtered? as soon as she put water onto the eSpring carbon block filter, it was completely absorbed and straight into the filter. So just a couple of things that I picked up from this demo, and we will share that video because I thought it was fantastic. But just the knowledge that the sustainability story of taking coconut shells, burning them down to charcoal, and then compressing them, which no other brand does, is again worth knowing. So thanks for the question, Nick, but we don't know the other brands and they're not going to share them. Anyway, another question from Chris. So Chris, if you can...
One
Oh,
second,
hold on.
Kate. Can I just say thank you for reminding me, but the other competitive products that you'll come across in the UK, one of them is the so-called Brita filter, which uses activated carbon filter. And the significant difference is that it is, whilst it acts in the same way as the Amway carbon block does, it is nothing like the same because it's not designed, made and compressed in the same way. So for example, if you look at the performance data on Brita filters, it will remove some of the 170 contaminants that the Amway one will, but nothing like the same percentages. Whereas the 170 given in these lists are nearly all over 99%. When you're talking about Brita, you're talking about much, much lower percentages. And the reason is simple. It's because of the design of the carbon block. And that is the patented technology that makes eSpring different. So sorry, Kate, go on with the next question.
So Chris, go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm a recent convert and I've only just recently been involved with Amway. I'm absolutely fascinated, but I don't know how to get my video to start. It seems to have conked
You
out.
have. There we go. We've done it.
Go.
Oh, it's there. Okay. I'm a recent convert to Amway. So thank you very much for having me, inviting me into the group. I've got two questions or two statements. One is what's happening about a fluoride filter? Because I see it specifically excluded at the moment. So although I've now got an Amway filter eSpring of my own, I've added a separate fluoride filter. But a lot of my colleagues who I wish to try and involve in this, I know are going to pick up on that. So do we have anything coming up in the future to protect ourselves against excessive fluorides? I have a second point as well to make shortly.
Go on.
The other item is RO. There's so much misinformation and misunderstandings about RO. And you nailed it earlier, Trevor, but a lot of people are promoting RO filters and they're not RO. They are RO from the point of view of just having filters that are large enough to allow molecules to pass through, so they can get away with calling them RO, but technically they're not correct RO filters. RO filters need thousands of PSI if they're genuine RO to force it through a membrane. You can't do it with tap pressure. So when people talk about RO, I'm afraid they're not actually being completely transparent about what they're offering. So a lot of those can be dismissed. I'm very familiar with RO systems and how they work and how they function. So what we've got here with the eSpring vastly outweighs the benefits of the alleged RO that are on offer. But so go back to the fluoride. That's I'm very keen to find out.
All right, Chris, you're absolutely right on your second point. That's the big problem with reverse osmosis. It needs a lot of pressure, it takes a lot of energy, and you waste a lot of water also in the system. So just forget it. It's just not. I don't think we compete. It's not competition for us. It's just people need to understand what's going on. And you're right. There's a lot of fake RO systems around. As for fluoride, eSpring does not remove fluoride from the water. I believe Colin can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it reduces it slightly, but does not remove it. And the big problem here is a legal one. and that is that in certain parts of the country, the water companies are obliged by law to add fluoride into the water. So those people who feel that it's an encumbrance or a contaminant will have to find other means of removing it if they so wish. If you want my personal view, fluoride is important in water. There is no doubt that the nation's teeth health is much, much better because of fluoride in the water. That's a personal opinion. Colin, do you want to add to that?
I totally concur with you, Trevor. You see, the science is showing that we do need fluoride for strong teeth, etc. Some places quote studies that are mixed, not fully accepted, etc. Overall, I have had people who said, "Oh, I like the eSpring, but it doesn't take a fluoride." And I said that for that small issue, would you forego all the other benefits that this eSpring delivers?
Exactly.
Okay, and that's where it's at.
One more question and we close, I think, Kate, because it's nearly 9.
Yeah, I just have a question that Ingrid has sent me. Just checking on the challenge for the weekend seminar. 2 eSpring sales. Is that customer sales or both customers and ABOs?
Customers and ABOs.
Okay, so there we go, Ingrid. So fantastic. Great questions, Chris. Thank you for
And it's
those.
9 o'clock, so we can let our
Just
Scandi
about.
friends go.
Yeah. So I just think, here we are with a fantastic product. And, from a personal point of view, to be thinking about getting, taking in a credit card size worth of microplastics each week mainly from your water is something to be talking about. Plus all of those hormones. As a mum of only boys, all those female hormones circulating in our water is another talking point. So you've heard some great information tonight. And you really want to be out there just telling your story. This is a fantastic product to be selling. Great profit, retail profit, great PV. There's some great markets out there, not just to your friends, families, associates, but people who have offices, need water to drink, schools, clubs, gyms. Think about it. Maybe architects or kitchen fitters. Be brave. You never know who you might be able to talk to expand your sales of eSpring. This is a fantastic product and I'm excited about it. So this recording will go out. We'll let you know where you can find it. And this will just be the first of many more meetings to come. We've had some great chats over the last few days about different meetings, but we will be starting some regular online meetings again, and details of that to follow in the next couple of days, as well as some more face-to-face meetings, and again, details to follow next week. So thanks to our speakers. Thank you to Imatep, fantastic information about price versus value. Thanks to Colin for all of that scientific information, and it's way over my head, but hey, I've got enough that I can talk to people about what I need to know. And of course, Dad, the expert in anything scientific and anything to do with Amway products. So it's been a great evening, a great event, and we'll be back in touch with more to come. So thanks, guys, and see you all later. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.